And here we are again with more fun-filled excitement coming your way.
What a time.
What a time to be alive. What a time to be a TV viewer.
Yeah, man. As a matter of fact, this is kind of random and it's like way out of our typical genres, but today I actually just finished watching The Pit. And this is like a brand new show. The first season just wrapped. They, I think, put out one episode every week for 15 weeks.
What's The Pit?
So the concept is it's a hospital in Pittsburgh, and the ER there, they call it The Pit, and this it's following this doctor. It actually follows the entire shift, but like this one particular doctor is the main character. He's played by Noah Weil, and the guy's performance is 10 out of 10. Like he just kills it in every single scene. And the actual casting overall is pretty good. Bryan Cranston's daughter is one of the characters.
Oh, shit.
And she's probably my favorite character on the whole show. Huh. Yeah. And so, yeah, he works a 15-hour shift in the ER, and every episode is 1 hour of the shift. So, like, the season is this one shift.
Damn.
And it's just absolutely insane. Like, it covers everything in the world. I mean, obviously, like, it's dramatized, very heavily dramatized, but it's not. It wouldn't be impossible to run into all the shit they run into in a day in the ER. So,
I've heard about this show. I remember hearing the name, but I couldn't place where I had heard it from. But yeah, I have heard people talking about it.
It's sensational, man. Knowing Warner Brothers Discovery, I really hope that they don't do anything stupid, but they need to greenlight the next 5 seasons. I'm not really, and I will tell you to you guys watching or listening to this, I am not a medical drama person.
Yeah.
I haven't like sat down and like watched all of House, but if an episode of House was on, I would watch it. I like it.
Yeah.
Same thing with like Scrubs, but that's more of a comedy.
Right. ER, what about that one?
If it was on, especially when Clooney was on there, right. But I've never been like a person where it's like, oh my God, I have to watch this, like a Grey's Anatomy or any of that shit. But this show, I couldn't take my eyes off it. I watched all 15 hours of it in like 4 days.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that if you watch enough of a show like that, you'll probably be a social media expert, medical expert, within a matter of days.
That's true. As a matter of fact, in the finale, there's actually a family of anti-vaxxers.
Oh, no.
And they don't want their son to get a spinal tap. Their son got the measles. Imagine that.
Oh, yeah.
And
how did that happen?
Yeah, nobody gets that anymore. And they got a spinal. They needed to do a spinal tap to figure out like how sick he was or whatever, and like they didn't want them to do that either. And the whole thing just was just like, oh, okay, well,
damn.
By all means, yeah, it ends up pretty crazy. I won't spoil it here, but yeah, fantastic show and way out of like the lane of something I would typically watch. As a matter of fact, I want to put a shout out to the homie Stanos. He actually reached out to me last night, and he was like, "Hey man, I'm watching Last of Us. Are you watching it?" And I was like, "Nah, I'm hooked on this show." I was like, "I'm gonna watch it later."
Have you seen 201 yet?
I have not. Have you watched it?
No. As a matter of fact, homie Kevin just messaged me about it. He had watched it.
Well, check it out, folks. There's no way for us to accidentally spoil it for you today if you haven't seen it.
Well, we have played the game, so
Yeah, because we haven't seen it. Well, I actually heard from someone today, like actually the only human being I know that likes the story in the second game, and they actually told me that they did not think that the show was going to play into that. Like that they thought from they seen 201, and they said from that episode they think it may veer kind of significantly from the source material, which I'm like, good.
That's good.
Yeah,
that's one of those cases where like that is great, actually.
Yeah. So we'll be sure to not spoil anything for you guys today, especially from the TV show, because we haven't seen it. It's the best way to not spoil it.
Really quickly, before we get too far into things here, I found a list of the highest grossing movies of all time, adjusted for inflation.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. Have you seen this list yet?
I have not seen it. Gone with the Wind, number 1.
Gone with the Wind's number 1.
Okay. Star Wars, number 2.
Close, but no. Close. 2 and 3 are definitely movies you've seen. Can't really give you too many hints, or you'll get her off the bat.
Titanic.
Number 3.
Titanic's number 3.
Mm-hmm.
2 is not Titanic or Star Wars. It's not still Avatar, is
Avatar.
it? It's still Avatar? Okay.
Yeah.
Star Wars number 4 then.
Star Wars number 4, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Number 5 you've seen for sure.
Endgame.
Endgame.
Infinity War is still in there too?
Infinity War is not on the list.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that kind of tracks because inflation has been a motherfucker since 2018.
Bruh.
But
looking at these numbers,
but it's not like 700 million or whatever.
Yeah.
It feels like it.
Right.
Okay, let me see what else I can guess. I'm surprised at how many of these I've been able to get.
Yeah, you got 5 of them out of the 10.
And this is just off the top of my head, folks. I haven't seen this fucking list. Let's see. What else would be on this list? Are any of the Fast and the Furious movies on there?
Oh God, no.
Okay, good. That's good.
Let's see. I can give you another hint. For like number 6, I don't know if you. I know I haven't seen it. I don't think you've seen this one either. It's from the '60s. Very popular. I believe it's a musical.
What is it?
The Sound of Music.
Sound of Music. I should have guessed that. Sound of Music was incredibly popular. Yeah. I have seen it a bunch of times. It's not my favorite.
Oh, okay. But you've seen that before.
Yeah, I've seen it a couple times. Yeah, I'm not. So you know how back in the day, like your science teacher, if he didn't want to, if he like, had too much ketamine or whatever, and he didn't want to do nothing, he would just pull out the TV and y'all watch some Bill Nye, or Magic School Bus.
Right.
Well, when you're in chorus, which I was as a kid, shock. A lot of people actually are shocked about that. When the chorus teacher is on ketamine or whatever, and they don't. It's very specific, and they don't want to do anything. You watch Sound of Music.
Or for me, it was Mr. Holland's Opus. I remember watching that a time or two. Throughout school. Yeah.
Mary Poppins also.
Yep. Mary Poppins.
Is that on the list?
It is not.
Okay. And you also too will. Some of them will do How It's Made. Some of the teachers.
Okay. Yeah. I remember that. Number 7 is also another one that everyone has seen. E.T.
Yep, that makes sense.
Yep.
Is Jurassic Park on there? Home Alone? Any of those?
Nope.
Home Alone, the original Home Alone, a lot of people don't know this, not even adjusted for inflation, is still the highest grossing Hollywood movie, or Christmas movie, rather.
Damn.
Holiday movie, Christmas movie. Period.
That's insane because there's been a metric shit ton of holiday movies.
Yeah, like Home Alone made fucking bank. But a large part of that is something that we've talked about before where, number one, Home Alone had an insanely long theatrical run. Like it was in theaters for like 9 fucking months. And then an incredibly long window to get it onto VHS, which it promptly then sold a crap ton of.
Oh,
so, yeah. Home Alone, like, is probably not going to be topped anytime soon.
Yeah, that'd be difficult, right? Like, unless Macaulay Culkin comes back and does it again.
Right.
I mean, that'll get all the millennials in there,
Yeah, I mean, they got to give his brother, like, a cameo.
Yeah.
in there. So,
number 8 is, I believe this is what's his name? Charleston Heston, is that his name? The 10 Commandments.
Oh, yep.
Number 9, Dr. Zhivago.
I have not seen that.
Me either. And number 10, The Force Awakens.
Is this just a U.S. only list or global?
It does not specify.
I think it's probably a U.S. only list because, like, Force Awakens is actually still in the U.S. alone is number 1, still, and it's not close.
But I think when you adjust these for inflation, that was still probably put that at number 10 because it came out in 2015, adjusted for inflation.
Yeah.
How much did it make globally?
I'm on Box Office Mojo right now, so Force Awakens, is a quite a fucking anomaly. So I don't like how one of these is titled an adventure. It made 2.07 billion worldwide, but domestically it made $936 million.
Yeah, so this is worldwide then. Adjusted for inflation is at 2.58 billion.
Okay, yeah, so it's worldwide. Yeah, I was gonna say because not even adjusted for inflation, it is the number one domestic.
Gone with the Wind. Do you know what that is? Adjusted for inflation,
A fuck ton.
4.34 billion.
Yeah, yeah, because that movie was the bee's knees. So, episode 7, just in the U.S., is about $80 million ahead of Endgame.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, and then No Way Home is number 3, Avatar number 4, Top Gun Maverick number 5.
Couple questions. Do you think it's possible for another Star Wars movie to do something like that ever again? And 2, do you think that Doomsday could potentially top it?
Here's the thing, man. When you say ever again, sure. I think maybe Mandalorian and Grogu could possibly do it. I think they could make a lot of money. Grogu is such a popular character. And if Disney is smart, and a lot of the fanboys, including myself, will be pissed about this, but he should be super heavily featured in the trailers. You know he's going to be. Mm-hmm. He's got to be.
Yeah.
This is what I would do, you know? I think it could make a good bit of money. I think if they call Dave Filoni's movie Heir to the Empire, I think it could make a lot of money. Here's the problem with that, and this is to a lesser extent a problem with Doomsday as well, is it can't fucking make $2 billion in the theater if it's going to be on Disney Plus in 4 weeks.
True.
You know? Or 6 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that all of these companies, need to say, okay, 6 months to streaming on everything.
Yeah.
Where is the harm in that for you? If you say, okay, well, we're going to release Doomsday, it's not going to be on Disney Plus for 6 months. Okay? You go ahead and put that out there. Hey, this will not be on Disney Plus for 6 months. Nobody wants to wait 6 months to watch a new Avengers. Yeah. They're going to get spoiled.
Oh, yeah.
But they've created this situation where it's not a priority to go to the movie and see it unless you just enjoy the format.
Yeah, they've done that to themselves, and it's kind of shitty that they did that because it's supposed to be like an experience. And we've talked about this ad nauseum about our experiences going to go see Infinity War or Endgame or No Way Home. Going to see those movies in the theater is so different from seeing them from the comfort of your own home. Don't get me wrong, it's great to watch any of those movies at home, but the in-theater experience, it just lets you know that this is where you are supposed to watch this movie at least for the first time.
Yeah.
Same thing with The Dark Knight. You're supposed to see that in theater for the first time.
If it was up to Christopher Nolan, preferably in an IMAX.
Yeah.
I saw it in IMAX, and it was breathtaking.
Yeah.
I watched that movie just the other day, and I think it's easy to discount how good that movie actually is if you haven't seen it in a while. Mm-hmm. And then you watch it and you're like, damn, this is a fucking masterpiece. Yep. I want to talk about, speaking of masterpieces, I saw this little blip today, and I thought this was another interesting piece of cinema information. Rotten Tomatoes, you can take it or leave it. I think Rotten Tomatoes is a good gauge of things if you understand what their scoring system actually is.
I almost feel like it's purposely confusing.
I agree, right? And just to very briefly put it out there, it's if you see something with a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, that doesn't mean that out of what all the movie critics said that the average review was a 90%. That's not it. That means that 90% thought it was a good movie, and then 10% thought it was a bad movie. They gave it a Rotten Tomato. Whereas like Metacritic, for instance, is a average of all the different scores, and I feel like both of them are important indicators to a movie's quality if you understand them.
Yeah.
If you understand what they're saying. But this is Ryan Coogler's Rotten Tomatoes filmography, right?
Yep.
Fruitville Station, 94%. Creed, 95%. Black Panther, 94%. Wakanda Forever, 84%. Sinners, 100%.
Jesus.
That's his entire history on Rotten Tomatoes.
Bro, I feel that Ryan Coogler is kind of slept on when people talk about directors.
He really is.
Yeah. I mean, like, in terms of like the way that his movies are just filmed, shot, edited, directed, he doesn't miss.
Are we reviewing that, by the way?
Yeah. So I was just gonna kind of coach into the theater and be like, hey man, you forgot something at the studio.
Yeah, because he just randomly hits me up. Hey man, you want to go see Sinners on Thursday? I was like, holy fuck! As a matter of fact, I do. I literally was just talking to somebody else who said they were going to see it on Sunday.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I really want to see that. You have to let me know how it is. Mm-hmm. And then I messaged him back right after I talked to you. I was like, psych, I'll tell you how it is because I'm going to see it before you. So, yeah, we're going to go see that this week, and we're going to have a nice, hot, fresh review for you guys. Hopefully it'll be a lot better than the last movie we reviewed on here.
What was the last movie we reviewed on here?
Minecraft.
Oh, shit. See, that's
this is a trauma response. Yeah.
I completely skipped over that. I was like, is he talking about Fantastic Four or like the one we saw in theater?
No, we do need to get back around soon to another Fantastic Four.
We do.
So as a matter of fact, this week is a pretty monumental week. Tonight we're going to be recapping the first half of season 1 of The Last of Us. And then on Wednesday, we're going to have the Daredevil finale for Born Again, which we are waiting with bated breath on that one. And then Thursday, we're going to turn right around and we're going to review Sinners. So then next week, we'll come back with Last of Us Season 1 Part 2. And then we're actually going to flop some things around a little bit because Andor is going to come out next week.
Yep.
But they're going to release 3 fucking hours of Andor on Tuesday. So we are not going to review 3 hours of Andor on Wednesday. We're going to put that off until the following Monday. Mm-hmm. So maybe that Wednesday we can do Fantastic Four if we can arrange it.
I think that's probably the move if we can get the other two on board.
Yeah.
We might have to do the thing that I was going to do to you with Sinners and just trick them into coming over here.
Just be like, hey, party at Aces on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Plan to be there for very specifically about 5 hours.
Yeah. Don't want to say 4 hours, it'll tip them off.
Yeah, right. And plus, we're going to bullshit a lot.
That's true.
Although this is the best Fantastic Four.
It is, man. So we better savor this one.
Yeah. It's downhill from here.
We're talking about the 2004 Fantastic Four movie. Yeah. It's a nice slope down. And then hopefully, come July, we'll be back on the upswing.
The irony is that Avi Arad paid millions of dollars to make sure that you guys never saw the 1994 Fantastic Four movie to protect the 2004 Fantastic Four movie.
That is crazy when you think about it. Wow.
But tonight
we are here to discuss, like Caleb said, and this is a very important distinction, the first half of The Last of Us Season 1, okay? So don't come turbo pissed at us because you didn't look at the episode name correctly and you mistook this for Season 2. No. How the fuck would we have seen the first 5 episodes of Season 2? No one in Hollywood likes us that much, all right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is us recapping the first 5 episodes of Season 1 of The Last of Us. But before we go too far, proper introductions are in order. So, homies one and all, allow us to welcome you back to a very special episode of the Superhero Homies Podcast. My name is Quentin, and as always, I am here with the world's greatest co-host. He is also immune to zombie bites as well. I'm talking about the homie Caleb.
Oh, I am?
That's what I was told him.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, 4.
I'm just waiting on I'm just waiting on Pedro Pascal to have some free time so he can escort me to wherever. Yeah.
I would pay to see that movie.
It would be amazing.
It'd be phenomenal. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like it'd be a lot of shenanigans and bullshittery, you know?
I mean, we like both of those things.
That's true.
We like shenanigans, and we like bullshittery. So
all true. So I don't know about you, but I haven't actually sat down and watched The Last of Us Season 1 since it last aired. I guess that was 2023.
Yeah, so HBO likes to fuck around now, and it's for their major big franchises. It's like every other year. And I did watch this recently because I got way ahead of myself. We were reviewing Andor season 1 in chunks, and I said fuck it and watched the whole thing. And then we were like, we're gonna do The Last of Us after that. So then I watched all of Last of Us. So like I watched the whole season like 4 weeks ago or some shit. But I had not watched it but the one time when it originally came out. Some of the episodes I had seen multiple times because we reviewed each individual episode for Entertainment Evolved.
Yep.
So those are still out there, folks, on YouTube if you want to check them out. We got really in-depth into every single episode. What we're going to do here tonight is a little bit more of a recap / review. It's going to be a little more truncated because if we go through all 5 hours of this, we will be here forever. So
and ever. Yeah.
And ever.
So now that you've seen The Last of Us Season 1, multiple times, has your views or anything changed significantly?
I think we won't get to talk about it tonight. I think my view of the finale is a bit different. Having seen it 2 years removed from it originally coming out, I have some mixed feelings on that. So you guys will have to stick around for the part 2 review, to get my full in-depth thoughts on that. But overall, man, I think that here's what I think about the show overall. I think that Neil Druckmann is a bit of a moron, and I think that Craig Mazin is like I picture. I'm gonna make a reference. I'm gonna make a wrestling analogy for you guys. I think Neil Druckmann is Vince Russo, and I think Craig Mazin is Jim Cornette.
So they hate each other.
I think. Well, I don't think they necessarily hate each other, but I think that Neil Druckmann comes up with this crazy ass outlandish idea, and Craig Mazin's like, "Oh fuck! All right, if we gotta do that." And then he's like, okay, we got to change this and this and this and this and this. I think that, and maybe I'm selling Neil Druckmann short here, but I think a lot of the magic of this show comes from Craig.
I'm with you on that, man. And I would actually take it a step further. A lot of the magic from The Last of Us Part 1 video game, I think, comes from the people who helped him with that. A lot of people think that that story as a whole was all Druckmann's idea. There were a lot of major changes that he had in mind for that first game. Thankfully, and I forget the guy's name, but there was a guy who thankfully was there as a consultant, and he really restrained or prevented Neil from doing a lot of those changes, which apparently were pretty fucking idiotic, and gave us something that was more concise and made more sense. Unfortunately, he was not there for The Last of Us Part 2, and you can tell.
Yeah, it's kind of like how there's a couple of instances of this exact same thing happening. If you've ever seen the Wheel of Time TV show, they hired Brandon Sanderson as a consultant for Wheel of Time. And not only did he write the last 3 books after Robert Jordan passed, but he also was a lifelong fan of the series. It inspired him to write. I don't fucking see how, but I'll take whatever I can get. But they actually sent him scripts of, this is like, they're filming this in the COVID era. They sent him scripts for the first 8 episodes. The last 2 episodes, though, of the season, due to time and production constraints and everything, they actually could not send him the copies of the scripts for him to give his edits and stuff on. And oh boy, can you tell if you watch that season of television, because it's like for the last 2 episodes, it's just like a different show. Mm-hmm. It's like these same actors were completely like someone else stepped in and directed this shit. Yeah. They got Damon Lindelof or whatever to come in and just write 2 episodes of this show. I know you like. I know you.
I do. I'm a fan of David Lindelof.
All right. Well, they got Tommy Wiseau or whatever to come in. They got Kathleen Kennedy to come in and write these 2 episodes.
Oh no!
There's a bunch of really shoddy like CGI. Like a bunch of it doesn't make any sense. Anyway, and then also another modern fantasy TV show where everybody's clothes are really clean is Rings of Power, where they fired their Tolkien scholar that they had hired. And he was just like, the things you guys are doing, this doesn't make any fucking sense compared to like the canon. And they were like, that's cool, you're fired. And you can tell.
And you can tell. It's just one of those things, right? It's like, we've been watching Born Again, and consulting on that is Brian Michael Bendis, and you go back to like the original Netflix Daredevil show, consulting on that was Joe Quesada.
Yeah.
And it's like they always made sure that they had people who were very close to the material to help them, with the show. It helps things from getting too fast and loose, if nothing else,
Yeah. I mean, what a lot of people don't know is that, Empire Strikes Back actually was not directed by George Lucas. It was directed by Irvin Kershner. And Lawrence Kasdan was like heavily helped George with the script. Lawrence Kasdan also, when the original Star Wars came out, George Lucas was like, hey, this is my finished script. We're going to go do this shit. And then Lawrence Kasdan came in and read it and was like, hey, dog, this don't make no fucking sense. Nobody's going to want to see this. So Lawrence Kasdan actually did a rewrite of the script for A New Hope as well.
Oh, shit.
And then Lawrence Kasdan was not involved in the screenplay for Return of the Jedi, which is why shit goes off the rails. Like, I'm not saying anything negative about Return of the Jedi, but if you watch them 3 movies, you can tell that at some point someone was like, let's go to the teddy bear forest for the next hour and a half.
I always thought that was like a decision they made for like a tonal shift. Like, man, we got really dark there for a second. Let's kind of bring it back.
No, I don't think that's what happened. I think George Lucas, God bless him, because like he obviously created one of the biggest IP in the history of ever, right? The original IP. I mean, it is as far as entertainment goes. But I think that for him, he wanted to make these like sci-fi movies that his kids would like. Yep. And I think that everyone that's not George Lucas is constantly been trying to be like, we don't want that. Yeah. We want this. And George Lucas is like, no. This is all ridiculous on purpose. These are for children. And we're like, no. Yeah. We're nerds and we want it to be for us. Right. And there's just constant, I think, tug of war with that, and I think it's worked out for better or worse. It has some instances where it's worked out really well, like the animated shows, which in the beginning are very much, you can tell they're designed for kids, and then Dave Filoni just makes it for us by the end, and he's just like subtly in there changing shit. Or like with Grogu, for instance. And then it has some fucking bad examples like, Jar Jar Binks or the sequel trilogy, which George Lucas didn't even do that.
He's like, it wasn't even my fault.
Yeah. He's like, I wanted them to make these 3 movies about like midichlorians and shit. So.
And you know what? That may have worked out better.
I'll be honest, man. Anything other than what they did probably would have worked out better. But to bring us back in, we're spiraling here and talking about everything except The Last of Us.
Already.
Craig Mazin, I think that he brings that expert television storytelling to this source material, which is already incredibly rich in and of its own. And then the cast is just perfect. I mean, changing gears a little bit, do you think there's a single bad casting in this season for any major character?
Let me think. Not off the top of my head, no. I think that everyone is actually really good.
Yeah.
I know there was a lot of controversy about Bella Ramsey at first because she doesn't look the part or whatever.
They went back and changed the game. They were like, fuck you guys.
Or they changed it again.
Oh, did they change it again?
Well, because, at first they had to change it because she was very clearly based on Ellen Page.
Oh, right, yeah.
Elliot Page now.
Yeah, of course.
But so then they went back and remodeled the face after that, and then apparently they did it again.
Yeah, they did straight up. We're like, oh, now it's Bella Ramsey.
Yeah.
but not quite.
Yeah.
Not enough that we'd have to pay her.
Right.
But close. Yeah.
But no, I think that the casting in this show is actually really solid, and this is probably, I don't know if this is a hot take, maybe pinnacle or peak Pedro Pascal in terms of popularity meets talent meets suitability. Like, he is super popular at this point already.
Yeah.
He's definitely got the talent and the chops to pull this off, and he's definitely very suitable for this role. We may have hit critical mass with Pedro Pascal now because he's in so much. And I'm like, we probably could have got somebody else, but I'll take it anyway, Yeah,
you can't really do the John Wayne run anymore. You can't do like 25 years of like, you're the guy in everything. Mm-hmm. There's really nobody that does that anymore. Like, Nicolas Cage is in 7,000 things, but it's all like B tier or lower.
Yeah.
And there's even a movie that has Pedro Pascal in it that's about that.
Or talk about your 6 degrees of separation.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, correct. But I think Pedro Pascal right now, I mean, is as close to that peak Hollywood stardom as you can get these days. I mean, he's kind of where like The Rock or like ScarJo were in the late like 2010s,
You know what's interesting, and this kind of just crossed my mind. I think that some of these roles that are so suitable for Pedro Pascal, they could easily go to like Tony Dalton.
Yeah.
Lalo Salamanca, for those of you who watch Better Call Saul. Swordsman.
Well, they're like, hey, we need someone to escort a magical child. And so they have to get Pedro Pascal.
He's not failed it yet.
Yeah, I mean...
And I swear to God, if Franklin Richards is in this Fantastic Four movie...
He is. He is. They've confirmed it.
Oh, shit.
Sue has confirmed that she's pregnant.
Oh, well, fuck. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, here we go.
Now, if it's Namor's kid, that's...
Oh.
Drama!
Really quickly here, you said something that's been scratching the back of my head for a few minutes now. And we are going to come back and revisit this more in depth when we do like the part 2 of this recap. But you talked about how you had, maybe different feelings about the finale now versus when you first saw it 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I'll just say this on that because I'm not sure what your thoughts are now versus then. But, when I think about the finale, there was something about that finale that I thought, cinematically speaking, was very well shot. It was very grim, obviously, but even for this show, it felt incredibly grim, but suitable in an odd way. But there was something about it that was a little off-putting, and I think that just as much as like the Bill and Frank episode was very much departing from the game. And the reason for that is that in the game, it's a desperate attempt of you as Joel in this damn near futile situation, trying your best to gun your way down and get this girl back. Yeah. Whereas in the show, it's framed to look like this man doing this extremely cruel thing that mayhaps does not need to be done.
Yeah.
And they, I guarantee you, had The Last of Us Part 2, the game, not come out, they would not have framed that finale to look that way.
Yes, I agree entirely because I think when I watched it the first time, I was still very much caught up in the drama of all of it, and like, yeah, of course he's not going to let them kill Ellie.
Right.
Which also, like, the science there just doesn't add up, and I really fucking hate the game and the show for this, like, incredibly contrived plot point where it's like, oh, well, you know, we would have to kill her in order to make any kind of cure, and I'm like, there's no medical anything that works that way, right? You know, and it's like, these receptors that they're talking about clearly aren't only in her brain because she gets bit on the arm.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And, like, it doesn't, like, spread any.
Right.
You know? It would cover her whole body if it was only in her brain and then not work. You know, she would look like a zombie. She just wouldn't be insane.
Right.
You know? And I'm like, this shit just doesn't work out, right? Where it's like, yeah, you're trying to make this very science-based kind of grounded reason for your zombie apocalypse. That's what it fucking is. Mm-hmm. And then you just make this contrived ass plot point, right? But that's not really what your question is about. I think that the second time I watched it, it's very clearly like Joel, something in him snaps and he's back there holding Sarah.
Yeah.
And he kills all these motherfuckers. And it is intentionally framed to make him look incredibly villainous.
Yeah.
Because they even put the guy in there that's like, got the gun, he sees Joel, he puts the gun down, surrenders, and Joel kills him anyway.
Yeah.
And like, he didn't have to do that shit.
Right.
He kills the fucking doctor at the end. He didn't have to do that shit. Mm-hmm. Like, and then he even kills Marlene.
Yeah.
And it's just a very blatant, just like, y'all will just keep coming after her, so I'm going to make sure I kill every fucking one of you. And then he, you know, immediately tells her these very easily, like, like these lies that would not hold up to any scrutiny at all.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Yeah, I think it was a large tonal shift for Joel to me. Like, yes, if they want to make it like, oh, he kind of like snapped and had this kind of PTSD crazed moment, they don't really film it that way. Mm-hmm. And they don't film it the way it is in the game either, where it's this, like you said, this desperate attempt. It's like a level 20 Joel versus a bunch of level 1 Fireflies.
Yeah.
So that was done intentionally, I think, but I do think it takes away from the feel of the game.
Well, you know, in an odd way, I've always said it like this: it takes away from player agency. Because the one thing people do at the end of Last of Us Part 1 is they call somebody else who also has played the game and they debate about what Joel did. And, you know, my one of my problems with the sequel is that it takes that out of your hands completely as the player. It says, no, it's like this.
Yeah.
And then they also retcon a bunch of stuff that they don't think players would notice, like there were other people who were immune besides Ellie. That's conveniently gone.
Yeah.
So if you play the remake of the first one or the second game, that's not mentioned anymore. But I had it for PS3, so I remember.
Yeah.
But, you know, looking at these first 5 episodes of this season, man, episode 1 for me is still just tremendous.
I agree. The first episode of this is probably the greatest lead-in for a video game adaptation that I can fathom. I think it's better than Sonic. I think it's better than Resident Evil. The first Resident Evil movie don't even have nothing to do with the games. But, like, this thing is shot for shot a work of art.
Yes. So much thought was put into this, right? And they expounded on it so well, you know?
Yes. Everything that they added is, like, it's basically the Tywin Lannister and Arya Stark scenes from Game of Thrones, where it's like, this shit's not in the books at all. It's a huge improvement.
I didn't know that wasn't in the books.
Nope. Okay. They actually, I don't think they share a single scene together in the novels.
Interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, all of that stuff is stuff that they added for the show.
Oh. And that stuff is so good. I just assumed it was in the books.
Yeah, and also all the stuff that you get where, season 1, there's a part where like King Robert and Cersei have this like kind of sit down where they're kind of reminiscing about their like fake power marriage or whatever.
They're laying everything on the table.
Yeah, and it's a really great scene because they both kind of take those walls down and like they're just very honest with each other.
Which really love me? No.
Yeah, both of these characters like are never really honest with anybody, especially themselves.
Yeah.
That's not in the books because there's not a point of view character in the room. Those books are written very strictly from like these are the point of view characters, and you experience it through their eyes. So, yeah,
okay.
Random tidbit.
The more you know. I keep saying I'm going to make the more you know button. I haven't done it yet. But the way that episode 1 just goes, it leaves you with like this really eerie feeling.
Yeah.
Because it starts off like this old school. What kind of show would you describe this as? It's like a talk show format of like, I don't know, like these two differentiating scientists talking to a host in front of a live studio audience. And I really love the way that this scene is shot and the way that it's presented because it is, again, it's eerie. And it leaves you with like this kind of weird, cold feeling because the information that the one scientist lays out that we know his information later comes into fruition, it's like there's nothing we can do to stop that if this mutation happens. And it's just very interesting, like, to see that. And then we go to, like, 2003, and what this does so well is it gives us a really cool, more introspective look at Sarah.
So two things. Number one, it immediately makes me think about what I'm sure it made you think about, which is Watchmen.
Yeah.
Yes. It's very reminiscent of those kind of talk show sections of Watchmen. And I love it for that.
Yeah.
Also, John Hannah as Dr. Newman. Tremendous.
Yeah.
He's only in the show for like 2 minutes, but he steals the scene.
It was great.
I love him in just about everything.
Yeah, I'm trying. What else have I seen him in?
Well, the main thing you would have seen him in is Spartacus.
Oh, yeah. There it is.
Yeah, he's the Lanista of the original of Spartacus's gladiator school that he was originally in.
I need to go back and rewatch Spartacus. Man, that was a really good show.
That is a great show. If you're into sex position, that is the show for you.
A lot of that.
Also, incredibly graphic violence.
That too.
It's like somebody just turned up all the settings on Game of Thrones. They're just like, yeah, 7 is okay, but what about 12?
What about 12? The knob only goes to 10. We'll make 2 more.
Yeah, but if you keep cranking it, it'll pop over a little bit. Nico Parker as Sarah here, I thought that she did a tremendous job. Because it's like, not only is she's like kind of Joel's parent to an extent.
Yeah.
In this version. It's like she's so smart, and that, obviously he's a provider, but when it comes to like the day-to-day, like she's kind of taking care of him.
Yeah.
She's very independent, very smart. And the dynamic between her and Pedro Pascal is so crucial because pretty much everything that Joel ever does after this is all based on that.
Exactly. And also, Joel turns 36. I'm like, is that what 36-year-olds really look like?
No.
I'm in trouble.
Yeah, I kind of look like I could be. Yeah.
I don't know about
that. Maybe not quite what Joel is like right here, but I mean, I also don't live in an apocalypse.
Well, that's before the apocalypse. He just
that's true. Yeah. Yeah, I only lived in the apocalypse for like a week, so it went back to normal after that. I want to say too that like she does such a good job here. Also, when they first take you into the modern day, which is it 10 years later?
The first time they take us?
When they 2023, is it go to 2013 from there, like to like current day?
No, I thought they went straight to 2023.
Oh, did they? Okay, so it's like 20 years later.
Yeah, it's just with Bill and Frank, we get that kind of incremental time.
That's right. So, when they first take us to the QZ, I love the way they introduce that too.
Yeah.
With the kid that wanders in, and you have the soldiers, or whatever, and they're like, "Oh yeah, buddy, we'll help you out or whatever," and they scan him, and he turns red, and then like the next scene you get is like somebody carrying him to like the body pile.
Yeah, that kid, man, he's thinking, "Oh, I finally got a fucking break." Yes, like this lady said, she's gonna give me toys and food and new clothes, and then pan over to the next scene. He's like, "She lied to me." Yeah, it's pretty fucking grim,
Yeah,
really grim. You know what's interesting, man, is that like I love the entirety of episode 1, and like I know that we have to get to this point in the QZ in like modern day. I really like the stuff in the first half of the episode more.
I do too.
It's something about seeing modern society just suddenly go to hell like that. It's so terrifying because and what you do with like immersive television is that the whole point of it being immersive is that you kind of put yourself in that position. And in the case of this part of episode 1, you realize, oh, I'd just be fucked.
Yeah. Yeah, because so many people were. I mean, unless you were on a like no carb diet, you probably were fucked.
Or maybe that's the better outcome. Shit.
Yeah,
like,
that's.
I mean, because let's say that you don't have the infection, like life as you know it is over.
That's true. Yeah. It would be like the speed at which society completely fell apart was absurd.
Yeah.
And it even comes to the point where they were supposed to have pancakes. Yep. And if they had, then they would have been infected like everyone else.
Yep.
And it's only because they didn't that they weren't infected. But I mean, you see how it very quickly turned out.
And that alone is awful because pancakes are fucking delicious.
Yeah. and it also shows too like how quickly the government reacted to quarantine it. Because like they were killing people that weren't even sick. Like that night. Yeah,
exactly. That night. You know? We get this scene, and I think it is episode 3, the beginning of 3, where there's like the mass grave of people who weren't infected.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, so it happened all over the place and immediately. And you also have to wonder, like, man, the way that this thing spread and the way that it spread so fast, like what really was like the exact time frame, because when we're in episode 2, we get the POV of the doctor, and she's like, "Yeah, we're fucked."
This is probably my favorite scene in the entire show. I think is the flashback to, is it India?
Yep.
With this doctor, and they
Jakarta.
Yeah, yep.
And
they bring in this specialist in fungi. And, she's like, this lady bit somebody, whatever. And she's like, they think it's a cordyceps infection. And she's like, cordyceps can't exist in a human. And when she goes in there and, like, picks up the strand of it or whatever, and it, like, reaches towards her, the look on her face, she's just horrified beyond measure. And she immediately knows, like, hey, there's no cure for this. There's no way for us to fight it. There is nothing that can be done other than containment at this point. You can kill everybody in here that has it. And she tells the guy, she's like, bomb.
Yeah.
You blow this whole city to pieces. You kill every single person in it. I'm going to go home and be with my family.
And now we don't know if they actually ended up doing that or not, do we?
Well, we assume that they did.
Yeah.
But we know that it was at a factory that was like a grain factory or whatever. And so, like, it was in products that got shipped all over the world.
Exactly. And that had me thinking, like, she's a smart enough lady to know that even if they did bomb that entire city, that entire factory and all the surrounding areas, it's not going to do much. in the grand scheme.
Well, I don't think she knew that it was in the flour at that point, at that stage.
Well, okay, so let's assume that she didn't know, because you're right. What we can also assume is that at that moment, people were flying in and people were flying out.
Right. Exactly.
And in that scenario, yeah, there's nothing you can really do. It's out.
Yeah, that's it. And Joel says later on to Ellie, I think it's in episode 3. He's like, "This is the shit happened on a Friday, and by Monday everything was pretty much gone.
Ugh.
Like over a weekend, the entirety of all society collapsed." And I'll be honest with you, I don't think that's unrealistic if this happened. I mean, we were very recently, it wasn't that recently, but it feels like recently. We were involved in, we survived a fucking horrendous hurricane in this area.
We didn't see coming.
We went to, it was supposed to hit Atlanta. We all went to sleep going, oh man, I bet we're going to catch some crazy rain off the edge of this thing. And then we woke up in the middle of it because it just shifted within 2 hours.
All of us woke up in the middle of it because our group chat at 5 a.m. was going crazy.
And everyone was in it.
Yeah.
And they were all like, oh, what the fuck? And this guy's like, man, I got to go to work. I was like, dog, you're not going to work. Like, you're going to be lucky if there is a work to go to. Not to mention, you ain't going to get there. Because, we just woke up to, trees and shit and, tornadoes and all kind of nonsense. And,
it was a rough fucking week.
It was a very rough week. And by sunrise, the society just here had pretty much collapsed, man. Nobody had power.
People didn't have water even.
Most people didn't have water. We didn't have water. You couldn't get anybody to come fix any of those problems.
Cell reception was spotty at best.
So some areas were complete dead zones for cell phone reception. People were in line for 4 hours to get gas. Some people were running out of gas, waiting in line to get gas. The shit was pretty crazy,
Finding a place to get food was also crazy.
Yeah, because nobody had any power. So a couple places had backup generators that they could use for a day.
Yeah.
But they couldn't get any fuel for those generators.
Right.
Because fuel became scarce immediately. So, if you just imagine, if there was no one to come in and fix that shit, the power company's not coming, the military's not coming, the water company's not coming.
Yep.
We probably would still be in that scenario.
Yeah, and that was just a hurricane, that came by. I say just a hurricane, they're not fucking deadly.
Yeah.
But that wasn't a global fucking class 5 all hands on deck pandemic, It wasn't a fungal infection zombified bullshit that was going on.
It was a really fucking bad storm.
It's a really bad storm, yeah. And so I think about the situation that they're in now, when Joel, the moment he comes back, for Sarah and he's with Tommy, that entire scene is just so horrendous.
Yeah.
Because first of all, how dare it fucking happen on a Friday evening instead of a Monday morning?
Yes. Please.
Right. And then on top of that, you don't know what's going on. People are going crazy as far as some people. You don't know who or why. And then it's just like with the hurricane that happened here, everybody has the same idea, whereas in our situation, everybody wanted to go to the same gas stations that were open.
Yeah.
And you couldn't. In their situation, they wanted to hop on the interstate, shut down.
Yep.
Military has it blockaded. And so they don't know what to do. And the military's there, and in times like this, when it looks like martial law, it's never a good thing.
No. It's very scary to envision yourself in this situation because Joel knows they have to get as far away from humans as possible, and they try kind of everything, and they're smarter than your average people.
Yeah.
But even then, they're not really getting anywhere, and they end up in the situation they end up in. Which results ultimately in Sarah bleeding out in his arms.
It's a rough scene.
It is a rough scene.
Because at this point in the episode, especially, it doesn't matter if you know the games or not, but especially if you don't know the games, that scene probably stings a lot because you're not expecting her to die.
Right.
Because the show, at this point, is from her POV.
Yeah.
So, and also, she's a really likable character.
Yeah, if you never played the games at all, I can only imagine how much of this is just
trauma.
Fucking absolutely heart-wrenching.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And even if you have, I think that this representation of Sarah was so much more impactful than what we got in the game. Because you just get a lot more of her.
You get a lot more of her, and don't get me wrong, the game does right. It has the right idea because it puts you in control of Sarah for those first, 5-10 minutes. Until the car wreck and you're carrying her, then you're Joel. But, it's just an interesting look at how quickly society can collapse. And it really shows you a measure of a man, how good of a person are you really when shit is like this?
Yeah.
And fucking awful. But modern day Joel is old and cranky.
Yeah. He's damn near rock bottom at this point.
Yes.
You really don't want to fuck with Joel either.
No. Not at all. Not at all. What do you think about his relationship with Tess?
First off, the casting for Tess, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. I think their relationship is, you can tell that it's quasi-romantic.
It's like friends with benefits with benefits.
Right, yeah. It's you can tell that they've both been through a lot of shit, and they both just happen to be the most tolerable person in the QZ to the other one.
Yeah.
And I think that's romance, folks.
Take it where you can get
in
it
the
sometimes.
apocalypse. Yeah. But you can tell that they do deeply care for each other.
Yeah.
And they're not really great people either,
Great people are hard to come by in this world.
Yeah, they're really, not very many.
Maybe Frank, but we don't even know what he did before he shows up.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe Frank. And Marlene question mark? She was going to let them kill a little girl.
Yeah, exactly. That part.
To save humanity, though.
But potentially, they don't know if the shit works.
That's right, yeah. Yeah. Steve Rogers just comes out. We don't trade lives here.
Yeah, we don't trade lives here.
If Steve Rogers wouldn't allow it, he wouldn't.
Which he would not.
Do you think he can be infected by cordyceps?
That's horrifying because if he can...
he's going to infect everybody else.
Right.
You just see a fucking zombie with a fucking vibranium shield roll up into town.
Oh, Jesus Christ, no. Please, no.
He's got cordyceps all in the shield, so everybody he hits with it gets infected.
Yeah. Oh, that's awful. Yeah, everybody's fucked.
Yeah, so when he throws it at you and cracks your sternum, it also a couple of cordyceps, fungi just burrows into your chest as well.
Holy shit! How would he throw it though? Once the things start to, take over his face and eyes and shit.
Perfectly.
Okay.
Yeah, he would just become like Matt Murdock.
Yep. Figured I'd ask anyway.
Yeah.
Oh man. Another difference that they have in this show versus the game is how the cordyceps work at all. Which in the games, is mostly spores, which is another thing that Ellie is immune to. She can walk in the spores and not have any problems. They're like these giant clouds of,
video game obstacles.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And, for a bunch of different reasons, they realized that just doesn't work in a TV show. And so they made it into it's almost like a hive mind line connection type thing.
It's these creepy tendrils.
Yeah.
Which honestly are worse to an extent especially when you get to the end of episode 2 with the super gross cordyceps kiss.
Oh, I mean, I know that Tess was in a rough spot. That she was basically the Walking Dead at that point. I think I would have found another way,
Well,
I'm saying like the part where like she did get the lighter to go, that's fine. I just don't think I would have stood there and made out with the fungus zombie.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't have stood there and let him tendril me.
Yeah, probably not. I don't want to be hentai before I die or at any point.
Yeah. I mean, even if you're not bitten at that point, you might as well go ahead and blow yourself up.
Yeah.
She probably didn't feel any of that shit, though. She probably got incredibly obliterated.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, nothing left. Yeah, so what do you think about Ellie and us first meeting her?
A lot of people were very curious as to how Bella Ramsey was going to do here. Mm-hmm. I have always thought that she killed it as the character. I don't think she looks anything like the game character. I also think that, because Bella Ramsey is in her 20s and she still has these incredibly childlike features, I think that's going to affect season 2 from the sense of like she's still going to look like a little girl because Bella Ramsey is going to look like a little girl forever.
I do agree with that. It's like her pure talent though was enough for me to just bypass like the fact that she doesn't look like Ellie, because she just embodied what I wanted from Ellie all throughout season 1.
I agree.
It will be a little bit more difficult for me in season 2 just because Ellie looks so much different. In game 2. She looks way more hardened. She looks noticeably older. Whereas Bella Ramsey still looks like,
Yeah, I did see a little clip of her from 201. Mm-hmm. And she kind of looks exactly like she did.
I guess, though, and I'll see if this is a pro or con, but I guess to kind of balance that out, like, Abby doesn't look intimidating either.
Yeah, I agree. And we talked about that a little bit, about how they decided they didn't have to go with, like, a muscle mommy.
Yeah. All right, so we got Rhea Ripley walking around out here with nothing to do besides, wrestling 4 or 5 times a week.
Right.
And they, okay, it's whatever.
And then they could have just got the actual voice actress. They could have just got Laura Bailey.
Yeah.
If they weren't going to go with a muscle mommy.
That's true. I mean, Abby was low-cat by like a fucking, I think it was a professional female bodybuilder, actually.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that they do exist, but honestly, the muscle mommy thing never made sense for Abby anyway.
Right.
Where the fuck are you getting protein powder from in the apocalypse?
She's just chasing down cattle and eating them, consuming them raw, like a cheetah.
Shit, probably. That explains a lot why she can do a lot of that shit.
Yeah. Yeah, she's just running down wild game with her bare hands.
Like Rob Schneider from The Animal.
Yeah.
That's a reference, folks.
That is a reference.
Oh, man.
You are alive when she starts to eat you.
Oh, no. Anywho. Yeah, I really like the stuff they had with Ellie here in these opening moments. She's very, very much a smart ass, very reluctant and rebellious, and it's kind of what you want,
You latch onto her immediately.
Yeah.
And not in this purely like endearing sort of way. It's more of like you recognize that this kid has grown up in this horrible environment. She's seen some shit. This is the apocalypse is the only world she's ever known.
Yeah.
She was born in it, molded by
God
it.
damn it.
By the time she took her first breath, people were already fucking zombies, including her mom.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is something else that we have to talk more about, in the next episode we do, because we don't get a lot of her mom, any of her mom, in the game.
Yeah.
But
which I love that scene because I'm a big Ashley Johnson fan, and
it was good to get that cameo.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Sure. She did such a great job in the screen time she had.
Yeah.
We are gonna have to move along a bit and talk about episode 3.
Let's go ahead and talk about episode 3.
When we talk about our Perfect 10s episode, this episode will get brought up. Because I think this episode is probably a 10 for me, like this episode in general. It's such a huge departure from the games.
Right.
But I think it is the best explanation of the world that our characters find themselves in. And that's why it works as part of the show.
I love this episode. As a matter of fact, I just watched it again earlier today in preparation for tonight. It is a big departure from the game. And hot take, or maybe, I don't know, I don't think this should be a hot take, but it actually made me appreciate Bill in the game even more, because it's almost like watching two different realities. One where Bill was accepting and willing to kind of open up and to let himself feel something, and then the other reality where he wasn't.
Yeah.
And just to kind of see that juxtaposition there. And sure, it's like you can say, well, in the universe where Bill does open up and he does allow himself to actually feel and find love, he ends up dying. Whereas, in the other universe, aka the video game, he doesn't. And I'm like, I think Bill in the game has been dead for years.
Yeah.
And both Frank meets a very horrendous death in the game.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a very, very cool and interesting departure from the game. I don't think it hurts anything at all. Especially since the Bill section of the game is very action heavy.
Yeah.
And they could have done something like that, but with the way that the episodes were laying out, episode 4 is also very action heavy,
Yeah. And 2 was also pretty action heavy.
Yeah. So it would have been a lot.
Yeah, they actually got the first clicker in episode 2.
That's right. Yeah.
Just to stop on that, I thought that the clickers were incredibly well portrayed.
Yes.
Incredibly horrifying.
Oh yeah. They're so terrifying because they really maximize the effect of stillness and quietness and how important that is.
Yeah.
And we see how when they don't, that shit goes to hell. Like I think Joel accidentally steps on something like a Coke can or something, and he's like, "Shit, did the clicker hear that?" And he looks up, and the clicker's like, "Surprise, motherfucker!"
Yeah. Yeah, and he even tells Ellie, like, oh, yeah, you can't get infected, but you can be torn to pieces.
Yeah.
It's not going to protect you from that.
He's like, trust me, it happened like millions of times in the games.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
You've been ripped to shreds by millions of people.
Yeah. Yeah, we just keep rewinding that shit.
I do love the makeup and design for all the infected here.
Yes, they did such a good job with it.
Not to fast forward too much. Did you ever want to see more of the bloater? Because we only see the bloater one time,
and that's in episode 5.
Yeah.
I thought the bloater was really cool the way that they kind of revealed it or whatever, and it really kind of takes you back to like the sort of Ian Malcolm like Life Finds a Way, where it's like, oh yeah, you guys got yourself, you're in this QZ, all the infected are basically dead, or you wiped them all out or whatever. No, like nature found a way to get in there,
Yeah. Well, what I really love about that is, without saying why they had a bloater, they explained to us why they had a bloater, because they trapped all the infected down in that area.
Yeah.
And what's going to happen is it's going to continue to grow and fester.
Yep.
And now you have a fucking bloater on your hands.
Yeah. And that thing was ridiculous.
It ripped Perry's head off.
Yeah. Poor Perry.
Poor Perry. He was a blind cult follower anyway.
Yeah. So I mean, he really didn't need his head anyway. He wasn't using it. I
don't want to gloss over episode 3 though.
No. I definitely want to take us back to Bill and Frank and them showing that like love and humanity is still something that could exist in the apocalypse. And that they both got to live this really full life, even in spite of everything. It's like if something like what Bill and Frank have isn't possible, then there's no reason to have a society.
Yeah.
Right? And them being two kind of opposite sides of the coin there with, Frank wanting to have people over and, have this like social life and things like that. And then Bill being just absolutely not like the protective, he's always thinking of all the worst things that could possibly happen. And that just kind of yin and yang of the two of them. I really appreciate that as well.
How long do you think Bill was just a kid in the candy store when shit went to hell?
Yeah, he's been waiting on this day forever.
That's what these type people do.
Yeah.
Except most of them aren't nearly as smart as Bill because most of them wouldn't be nearly as prepared as Bill.
Yeah, I mean, Bill had a fucking heyday for the first 72 hours.
For sure.
He went to like Home Depot and got fucking everything. He went and filled up his fucking diesel generator, which I'm really shocked that, that they didn't go and like wire up a bunch of solar panels.
Right. Because, that diesel's going to corrode, Yeah,
you're going to have to constantly find new ways of doing it. Yeah. Well, knowing Bill, he knows how to make biodiesel.
Probably.
So,
yeah.
There is that, but that's still a process. If you can get the solar shit worked out, you can just do it one time, Yeah. That solar is really the way to go in the apocalypse, folks, unless it's like the Matrix apocalypse where like the sun gets blotted out.
Yeah.
In which case, you might as well just go ahead and like die.
Pack it up, G.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not really, there's certain apocalypses I'm willing to try to survive in. That's not one of them.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest with you. Most apocalypses I'm not trying to be here for.
Oh, yeah. I'm not trying to be here for any of them, but definitely not that one. If I'm here for that one, put me in the Matrix.
Right, yeah. And put me in like the original Matrix. Like, I don't believe that we had it too easy there.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never seen that one, but I'm pretty sure it was fine.
Yeah, put me in that one. Anywho, I think that you're right, though. Like, the entire essence of this episode is to show that it is still possible to find the things that really matter, even in this fucked up situation. And if you can't have that, then what's the point? And I forgot that this episode doesn't start off with Bill and Frank. It actually starts off with Joel and Ellie.
Yep.
And then after about 5 to 8 minutes or so, then it transitions over to Bill, and then we get Frank shortly thereafter. And we see them throughout the years. And this is, one of their longer-ish episodes. I think it's like an hour and 16, something like that.
Yeah.
But, we probably spend a good maybe hour and 5 with Bill and Frank.
Yeah.
And in that amount of time frame, like the story they were able to tell was just very endearing and impressive.
It really was. It was incredible acting.
Yes.
Incredible writing. The way it was shot was so good, and like the way that they told their story over the years and how they made it relevant and involved, Joel and Tess. And then, with Joel and Ellie later, finding the aftermath of everything.
Yeah. Let me ask you this real quick. And like I've just always assumed this. I'm trying to make sure I'm not crazy. Frank fucked Bill for food and shelter, right?
I don't think he had to do that. Okay, so are you saying like he originally just kind of...
It was like, this man, he let me take a shower, gave me some fresh clothes, made me this immaculate meal with some wine, and now I gotta leave, or I can fuck this guy and I think he'll let me stay. What about all this time you find out Frank isn't even gay?
That would be hilarious. Especially since, like, once he came down with whatever he had, he really had to roll with it.
Oh yeah, he had no choice, man.
And that's another like dynamic of this whole thing where they don't specifically say what Frank had for two reasons. Number one, leaving it kind of ambiguous is more impactful, I feel.
Yeah.
And number two,
how would they know?
Yeah, how are you gonna get a motherfucker to diagnose you? You're not. It's like the guy says, it's like, oh, you think there's like an MRI salesman like right around the corner?
Yeah. Which makes me wonder then, like, what pills was she taking? And like, do they even know like the impact of what those pills were doing?
Well, I'm sure they probably raided a pharmacy or they got them from Joel, didn't they?
I would be even more skeptical then, but yeah.
Well, Joel seemed like he got the legit shit.
Yeah,
but
Joel got the hookup.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
It was still, I guess it's like, I guess what I'm getting at is like, these weren't prescribed.
Oh, hell no.
You don't know the dosage.
It's really, it is theorized that he had ALS.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was told.
And kind of what they even talk about in the show is like, hey, look, there wasn't a fix for this before the world went to shit. Yeah, you could get best in class care, assuming you could afford it, depending on what country you live in. Not this one. Yeah. Yeah, you could make yourself more comfortable. You could add maybe a few years onto your life, but you're headed for the same destination. Like, that's going to kill you unless like you get hit by a bus between now and then.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's kind of another thing to think about. It's like things that we take for granted now. Like, let's say, God forbid, we're sitting here and like one of our appendix starts to explode. Okay. The odds of us dying are very slim, right? Because there's a hospital not that far from here.
Yeah.
We're going to go in there. They're going to see that shit on the CT or whatever. And then they're going to fucking prep us for emergency surgery and they're going to yeet that bitch.
Yeah.
If that happens to you here, find someone with a gun that's willing to let you eat a bullet, because otherwise you're about to have a very rough 24 to 48 hours and die of fucking sepsis.
100%, because here are your options, right? If we're in that scenario, Caleb, you don't have your appendix anymore, do you?
I have my appendix. It's my gallbladder I don't have.
Oh, okay.
But that's the same scenario.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like, in that scenario, right, your options are take you out back and shoot you, or, you hand me a knife and you're like, dog, I trust you.
Oh, my God.
What you going to go with?
I'm going to go with the bullet. Yeah.
The knife is right here, though.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
And I think I can save you.
Yeah, you also don't even have Google.
Ooh, that is true. That is true.
The gallbladder is a little different. Like, in most cases with the gallbladder, you could get by if you just want to eat, like, lettuce for the rest of your life. If you just don't ever want to consume anything with any fat or anything like that in it forever, or anything spicy, then you'll probably be okay. You can probably live with that, maybe. But like with the appendix thing, like, you're gonna get fucking sepsis, bro. That shit's gonna explode, and you're gonna die of sepsis, which I have never had, but I hear it's not a fun way to go. Yeah,
no.
Just having your blood toxicity slowly increase until all your organs fail, it does not seem like a good time to me.
Yeah, it seems like not a good time. I can think of other things I could be doing with my time in life.
I think I'd rather get fucking cordyceps, and like, because the thing about when you become a cordyceps zombie, I'm pretty sure that you continue to be aware.
Yeah, because they do speculate that.
Yeah,
which is awful.
Because they understand that that's what happens in like the ants. Today.
Yeah.
Is that you're still in there. You just don't have control of your motor functions.
Yeah.
So you have to sit in there and watch as the cordyceps just controls you.
Yeah, and that just makes it so much worse,
Well, until it blinds you, that is.
Until it blinds, and then that makes it even worse.
And then you just hear and feel.
Like, oh, pretty sure I just killed another person. See, and then it's like, oh no, like I've become a fucking cordyceps zombie. Oh shit, this is awful, man. Like, oh, where am I going? Like, don't go towards that guy. He's got a fucking shotgun.
You're right, yeah.
Well, I'm dead now. Okay.
By that point, you probably are like, oh my God, thank God.
That's true.
Finally.
Yeah.
Someone came along with a shotgun.
Yeah.
What if Matt Murdock became a clicker? That's like the end of the human race, right?
Bro, what are you going to do? What are you going to do?
This motherfucker...
He doesn't even need to click.
Yeah, he doesn't even need to click. This motherfucker can hear you like from 6 buildings over. And you can't hide from him.
You can't hide from him. And then, like, he's got, the Matt Murdock fucking, agility and shit.
And he's a ninja, yeah.
And he's a ninja. Yeah, we're fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're super fucked.
Yeah, be sure to join us for our Born Again review later on this week.
Yeah, if you guys want to hear more of Cordyceps Matt Murdock,
let us know in the comments. The Adventures of Cordyceps Matt Murdock.
Yeah. Oh, man. How do you feel about the way that Bill and Frank's journey ends in the show?
I love it, actually. I think it is incredibly poetic, and I think that the way that it all unfolds, really, you get Frank, who realizes that, my best day is gone. My best days are gone. And even now, like, if you had expert medical care, you got to think about it, like, somebody, if you have a terminal illness, even with the treatments, once you're told, like, okay, this is what's going to kill you, you got to think about the impact that has on someone. And at some point, you're going to sit there and you're going to realize, like, okay, I'm going forward, it's only going to be worse than it is right now.
Yep.
And that's got to be an incredibly bleak mindset to be in,
To know that from here on out, today is my best day, and then tomorrow will be my new best
my
day.
new baseline for best day.
Right.
And I got to be honest, man, even somebody with like a chronic illness, they're going to have good days and bad days, but like just knowing that you're not ever going to have a good, it's just going to get worse from here.
Yeah.
I don't really blame him, especially, he's like, I lived a full life, I lived here, with you and had this incredible life, and he doesn't want to, with something like ALS, eventually, like, all your muscles and everything are going to lock up.
Yeah.
And you're going to be completely incapable. I think I would make a similar decision in his.
Yeah, it's poetic and it's romantic, but it's heartbreaking for me. Like, it's the baseline of it all.
Yeah.
But also, though, like, I want to point out that it's so interesting because the show or this episode sets it up for us to think that if anyone's going to die, it's going to be Bill. We see Bill is the one who gets shot. And even before that, we see Bill, he's the one who's talking about mortality. He says something to Frank along the lines of, I'm sorry that I'm getting old on you,
Yeah.
Because he's older than Frank. And so, like, you put all the information together and it just looks like Bill is going to be the one who's going to bite it out of those two. And then you see that, no, as fate would have it, as the universe rolls the dice, is poor Frank who actually is the one who has, the sickness, the one who's not going to last.
Right.
Yeah. So it is a darkly kind of poetic ending for these two, for sure. But it's certainly the happier ending, that they could have had if you just opposed it with a video game.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's interesting is the viewership actually skyrocketed for this episode. Interestingly enough, the viewership kind of grew like they had 500,000 for episode 1. And now I think this is probably just on HBO. This doesn't include the Max viewers.
Okay.
They had an extra 100,000 the next week, an extra 150,000 the next week. For episode 4, they actually hit 1 million viewers.
Wow.
And then for episode 5, for whatever reason, they dropped down to 0.4 million.
Really?
And then it got back up to 1 million by episode 7, and then 7, 8, 9 all stepped up from there.
That's crazy because episode 5 is definitely one of my favorites.
I mean, it's a part 2. It's a very clear part 2.
Yeah, yeah.
Out of all these episodes, I mean, it's actually the only like part 1 and part 2 that we really get. You know,
yeah.
The rest of them are pretty contained as far as like this is what's happening in this episode.
We're ready to move on to episode 4.
Yeah, and I think maybe 4 and 5 we kind of in tandem. Yeah, because these are both directed by Jeremy Webb, both written by Craig Mazin. What's interesting too, you know, something that we talked about early on is like Neil Druckmann. He only has writing credits on the episode 1, episode 7, and then the finale is him and Craig Mazin. So the only episode that Neil Druckmann has the primary writing credits on is 7.
Interesting. And episode 7, is that the DLC episode?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Which I really enjoyed, but we'll talk about that more.
Yeah.
You know, when we do the back half. But yeah, so episode 4, please hold to my hand, and episode 5, endure and survive.
Yeah. These 2 episodes definitely work a lot better being able to watch them together.
Yes.
Because I remember watching them separately. As a matter of fact, on an Evolve review, I think that I was on for episode 4, I want to say.
Yep, I think so.
Mm-hmm. And I remember thinking, man, I got called on to review like the weakest episode of the season.
Yeah, I don't know why we didn't have you back on for 5.
You said something about like, you know, your committee was like, well, we just really would rather not. I didn't really take too kindly to that, you know.
That's fair. Yeah, I think that was probably around the time that I won my like 2nd or 3rd like Guest of the Year award back then too. So
yeah, I had to talk to the committee about, you know, maybe spicing it up again next year.
I was on so many podcasts back then. Because I was on this one, we were doing Entertainment Evolved, and then I also ended up being on like a bunch of the like Tapped Out podcast episodes, a bunch of the Suplexes and Microphones stuff.
That's right.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Yeah, Ellen also around that time, Oz had his. Right?
Tavern Notice Board and around kind of, I think this was maybe like about 6 months before this, but. You were actually on a Power Rangers podcast for a while. Yeah, you and old Caleb Stovall.
Yes.
Reviewed like every fucking Power Rangers episode.
Every episode of Power Rangers, dog.
My hat's off to you, sir. I don't know.
Boy.
I don't know how you...
I was trying to stick it out to the movie, and I don't know why, because it's not like the movie's good.
I think the first movie's okay. I should probably watch it. I haven't watched it in a while.
I think you come away like the way you did with Ninja Turtles.
I'll wait, and because someone's gonna do it on the throwback.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna happen.
It's definitely gonna happen. Was that 95, 96, something like that?
I think 95.
Yeah, okay. But we're introduced to several new characters in these 2 episodes. Lamar Johnson as Henry.
Yep.
We also get introduced to Kevon Woodard as Sam, which is his, which is Frank, not Frank, which is Henry's deaf younger brother. And having a disability in the apocalypse is so much worse than having one in regular society. Not that it's not bad in regular society.
Right.
It's just amplified severely in an apocalypse.
Yeah, and it's like, And this is an interesting way to look at it, right? If I think that if for the most part, if it is bad in the apocalypse, then it's probably not even that great in regular society.
Yeah.
Case in point, having children. It's a terrible idea in the apocalypse.
Or starving.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. Starving might be the one thing that's better in the apocalypse. Because at least in the apocalypse, you're starving because there isn't any food.
That's true.
In our society, we have all the fucking food and people still starve. Yeah. That's probably the one thing that's fucking worse.
That is true.
Because you just like watching like Kroger throw away like fucking a ton of shit, you know?
Right.
You're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and that is a very valid point. But hell, at least you can still go dumpster dive and you just wait, time it out perfectly.
That's true. You can't do that here.
No.
Yeah, not to mention, you don't tell them what the fuck are you gonna find in that dumpster. Probably a zombie.
A zombie, and you're gonna get bit.
But just the fucking perfect casting is Melanie Linsky as Kathleen.
Oh my gosh, she is so easily detestable.
Now, when I saw her, I did not remember this section of the game at all, right? Mm-hmm. When I saw her, I immediately was like, that's a crazy bitch. Because I have watched a show called The Shield. And in The Shield, the character that she plays is batshit insane.
Who is she in The Shield?
She is the dude's wife where they cut off their neighbor's arm. Oh, and they like have her in the shower or whatever.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that shit was fucked up.
And they like rode around with her in the trunk of the car and all that shit.
Yeah.
And it turns out like the whole time it was like her idea.
Right.
Yeah, that's her.
That. Yeah, that was fucked.
She was like 19 when she played that character.
Yeah, I was like, obviously she looked so different.
Yeah.
It's because it was like,
20 years.
20 years prior. Yeah. Oh, man. The casting again in this episode was really good. I thought it was really strong. And, but again, it needed to be, right? Especially for those three characters in particular, for, is it Kathleen?
Yeah.
Yeah, for Kathleen, Henry, and Sam, and then there's Perry, good old Perry.
Yeah, I mean, this dude is like kind of the shittier version of Bill,
Right.
This dude definitely owned a MAGA hat.
Oh, for sure. And you know what? I don't think that Bill would like this guy at all because one of the first things we ever hear Bill say is he's looking at the military. He calls them like jackboot.
Yeah.
Fucking. Yeah, and like that, and that's exactly what Perry is.
Yeah, he's looking for a new asshole to put his face in.
Yeah.
He's a brown noser without a butthole.
I mean, that's the worst kind of Ronin there is, right? Like a samurai without a master. Like he's a ass sniffer without a butthole.
Yeah.
But here's the crazy thing about Perry. The first time I saw these two episodes, I thought that he was gonna die. But before that, I thought that he was gonna come to his senses and see Kathleen for the piece of shit that she is.
But he never really does.
He never does.
I mean, these people are full tilt. Now, it's important to remember, though, like, we only get to see a little bit of the reality of this QZ, and, like, I give these people a little leeway because Kathleen is way better than what they had with the Fedra here.
Yeah.
Because the Fedra here seemed like they were just absolutely awful.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Like, and the shit gets so tricky because I'm not saying that like I'm all for like big government oversight because the government can be fucking atrocious.
Yeah.
But in situations like this, like you get to see what happens when there's minimal to no oversight, and Fedra's just kind of doing their own, like this group of Fedra just kind of running shit their own way here.
Yeah.
And they were assholes, like beyond assholes. They got overthrown by this like rebellion group.
And do you know how shitty you probably had to treat these people for them to actually like unify and overthrow you?
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many instances in our society today where like people just continue to eat shit and like won't rise up even though it would be relatively easy. Mm-hmm. It's like you gotta think in this society, like they don't even have a means to have like social media or anything like that.
Right.
So Fedra completely controls everything. They control the news that you're going to read. If they got a newspaper, everything that you're going to be told. There's no courts or any of that shit to protect you. You don't have a Bill of Rights. It's whatever they say goes.
Yeah.
So if they say, there's a curfew from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m., then if you get called out, they can shoot you. Whatever. That's just it.
Yeah. And that's the way that it goes. And, and I guess the other shitty thing is this, right? It's like, that's the best they could come up with in 20 years.
Yeah.
And
then, you have this kind of revolutionary leader. Mm-hmm. And the thing about a revolutionary is at some point, somebody's got to actually be able to govern. And revolutionaries are typically anti-establishment. So then your anti-establishment revolutionary then has to establish.
Yeah.
And run a government. And there's a reason that shit doesn't tend to work.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and there's also a reason why, like, the movie typically ends after, the empire's overthrown.
Yeah. Yeah, we talked about this a lot when we did our Mistborn reviews. It's like, hey, man, the day after the revolution kind of fucking sucks for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, nobody is taking it easy and, living their best life after the day after the rebellion,
Yeah.
This is the day where, like, okay, well, how's the shit going to be governed differently? First of all. Second of all, how do we rebuild? How are we going to... And so, like, this whole thing that comes about now.
And Kathleen's like, wait. Before we talk about any of that shit, we got to kill all these motherfuckers that were loyal to Fedra.
Power does not suit her well at all.
No.
Not at all.
Especially because she kills a lot of admittedly innocent people.
Oh, yeah.
And like, yeah, I mean, okay. Some of them were rats. Mm-hmm. But you got to think, man, you're literally in a apocalyptic society. You're being told that your choices are, we can fucking kill you, or you can be our eyes and ears, and you can eat good, and
we give you food and medicine and shit. Basic needs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. This ain't just like people snitching just to be snitching.
Right.
They still snitches. Mm-hmm. Don't get it twisted. But it's a different concept.
Right. I mean, you know what's gonna happen, right? You know who's gonna find you? Some old man fishing.
Yeah. That's right. Every time.
Every time. Kathleen, she's such an interesting character though, because like, she wills this air of authority and power about her, but she speaks as if she truly believes that she's in the right. And, it's, you can call it like Thanos syndrome, where you believe that you are the one, you are the hand wielding the power because no one else can handle this great burden.
Do you think that she's just completely off the deep end and like she truly believes? Because, they say, it's been said that the difference between like a cult and a religion, right? It's like in a cult, you have the one guy that's like at the top. They know it's a cult. They know it's all bullshit. It's all a scam, whatever. And then in a religion, that guy is dead.
Yeah.
Right? And then that's the key difference.
Right.
Well, like, I'm almost wondering if like Kathleen's brother wasn't that guy.
Yeah.
And then she full tilt just believes all of this. And like she really thinks that she's in the right here through all of it. But the way that she plays the character and the way it's written is it could go either way. Like,
yeah, I would wager to bet that she is very much aware that what she's doing is fucking wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, I look at like, I think it's in episode 5 where she's talking with Perry and she's talking about the last time she spoke with her brother.
Yeah.
And she says that her brother says that she should forgive and this and that. And she's like, no, I'm not going to do that.
I don't know what the allegory was here.
Yeah. It's like...
I couldn't quite put my thumb on it.
Yeah. What's the takeaway here?
Yeah.
But and that was the moment. I think that was episode 5. But that was the moment where I thought, when I first saw the show, oh, Perry's gonna come to his senses.
Yeah, he's gonna be like, well, no.
Yeah.
But nope, he didn't.
No. And instead he got ripped in half by a fucking bloater. So
this whole scene here was very thrilling, where they like try to escape the city. You think they're gonna make it out, and then there's this fucking sniper on the edge of town.
yeah.
And
He I don't think you were a fan of this game, Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater, but
I'm not.
I quite thoroughly love that game. There's a sniper in that game. His name is The End.
Yeah. This reminded me of The End.
If The End couldn't shoot.
Yeah. Yeah. If he was a feeble old man in the apocalypse with like a worn out Fallout rifle.
Right.
Yeah.
But what are those? Pipe pistol rifles?
Yeah. Pipe rifle.
Pipe rifle.
Yeah. This whole scene was amazing though, with Joel like closing in on this guy. And then Joel wasn't going to kill this dude, but he's like, just don't do it. Like, put the gun down. Like, you can surrender. Like, we don't have to do this. And the dude tries to turn, and Joel pops him.
Do you think that was suicide by Joel? You know, like, I can't call it suicide by cops because Joel's not a cop.
Yeah. You mean like he was just like, well, whatever Kathleen will do to me will be worse if I surrender.
I'm already living in like a hell, so.
Yeah, probably. I mean, either that or he's like fucking Perry. He's brainwashed to shit. And he's going to stop at anything. Like, these people are clearly evil. Yeah. You know? Because this guy was a fucking snitch.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
He's literally doing the same shit that she's out here killing people for doing.
Yeah. Man, I really love the dynamic here between Henry and Sam. And it was such an interesting choice to have Sam be deaf.
Yeah. Interesting thing, a little tidbit about this is this actor is actually deaf.
I figured.
And all of the cast and crew pretty much learned, got pretty fluent in ALS.
Oh, that's cool.
To really accommodate him and everything. And I thought that was really awesome.
That's actually really cool.
Yeah. It makes me feel kind of bad though, because my girlfriend's mom is deaf, and I know like 3 things.
Wait, I mean, if you mix and match those 3 things, you probably know like 9 things.
No, I don't think it works that way. I mean, you would be saying something, but I wouldn't know.
The conversations would be interesting at best.
Right, at best.
Yeah. But this kid does a really good job though.
He does. His expressions, the way that he interacts with Henry and also with Ellie.
Yeah.
And also I think the dynamic between him and Henry in general was just so good.
It just kind of really goes to show that like throughout those 2 episodes, I would say that Sam is kind of like damn near the heart of it.
Yeah. 100%.
To the point of like when he dies, it becomes apparent that he was the heart of it all because everything just falls apart. Like the light in Ellie's eyes comes on when she meets Sam.
Yep.
And then it dies when he does.
Yes.
And Henry, I mean, enough said,
Well, and you see Joel just a bit like he doesn't respect Henry.
Yeah.
But the more he sees Henry with Sam, he understands, right?
Yep.
Sam is his Sarah.
Yep.
And when he dies, man, shit goes bad real fast.
Yeah.
And I think it fucks Joel and Ellie up terribly.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't think either of them were expecting these random people that they met to fuck them up emotionally like this.
Yeah, because they hadn't known each other that long,
Yeah.
This was something also that was expounded upon in the show more so than the game. And don't get me wrong, it's very fucking heart-wrenching in the game when you've experienced it for the first time. But, in the show, because, again, you spend so much more time with them, you grow more attached.
Yeah.
And, man, like you said earlier, if you've never experienced the game and you're watching this, they're out of the fire. They made it away from Kathleen. They made it away from the bloater and all the other clickers and infected, and you're thinking, oh shit, okay, well yeah, maybe they're gonna travel together, maybe they're gonna go to Wyoming. Nope.
Nope. And the way that he dies is just so heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm.
And the dynamic where you have Sam trying to kill Ellie.
Yeah.
Because he's a zombie now.
Yeah.
And then you have Joel trying to save Ellie. And then you have Henry still protecting Sam until he finally, snaps out of it a little bit and kills him. And then he immediately can't exist with himself.
Yeah. That was his purpose.
Yeah. It's all so heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's just, it goes back to, if you think this has a happy ending, you haven't been paying attention.
Right.
We're right back there.
Yep.
It goes downhill from here as we'll talk about in the back half. But these first 5 episodes are setting you up for how incredibly bleak it is all going to get.
Yeah. And now here's the thing about it all, is that game 2 or season 2, by proxy, way more bleak. It's like they go out of their way to be bleaker.
Yeah, it's almost like, this wasn't bad enough for you, so
yeah.
Everything has somehow gotten even worse.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Did that choice specifically, do you think that was out of a way for them to elevate things from the first game, or do you think that it was just kind of they didn't know what else to do, so they went shock value?
That the big choice in game 2?
Not necessarily the big choice, but just the fact that they gave it a even darker tone.
Oh, yeah, I think that it most likely to do with shock value, but even more so, I think it had to do with maybe Neil not even understanding why it resonated with people in the first game.
Yeah.
Like the reason why it resonated in the first game is because just like episode 3 of the TV show, you're able to find the light within the darkness.
Right.
Whereas with the second game, there is no light.
No, it's just all darkness.
It's just all darkness, yeah.
I think, too, it's like, for the most part, you're like, okay, so at the end of the first game, you're like, okay, so Joel and Ellie are just going to go back to Jackson.
Yeah.
And just live there forever.
Yeah.
There's no reason for them to not. I mean, everybody that either of them knows is dead.
Right.
Or a zombie.
Yeah.
Except for Tommy, and he's in Jackson. So, okay.
Yeah.
It's not like, I don't know that they ever intended to make a part 2. Mm-hmm. I think that The Last of Us is supposed to be like, this is the contained story.
Yeah. And the ending is ambiguous, so you can have the discussion.
Yeah. And then after that, it's like, okay, we made a part 2 because part 1 was overwhelmingly popular. Mm-hmm. And Sony was like, I need you to churn out another game.
Right.
And I definitely don't think that they left themselves, and we can talk about this more when season 2 review happens, but I certainly don't think they've left themselves anywhere to go in a game 3 if they ever make one.
Last I heard, I think that Neil is backing off.
Yeah.
That third game.
Agreed.
And I think it's because Neil, if he made a third game, he wants to continue the Ellie and Joel story. But
mildly problematic.
A little problematic, right? And then also like poor Abby. Abby could have been a very interesting character.
Yeah.
Could have been a very compelling character. But the way that she's packaged and presented, she's just not.
Right.
And hopefully that's something that the TV show can kind of rectify. We'll see.
I really hope so.
Yeah. But if I were Neil, there's still money on the table for a third game. I would just put it in a different part of the world with different characters.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
Yeah, maybe either that or you go like a prequel route and you're maybe like Marlene's the main character or something.
I would like to know what Tommy had been up to
The whole time. The whole time. Yeah, I agree. I think you'd have to go a completely different direction with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how you pick up from what we got left with, but anything else you want to talk about these first 5?
Craig Mazin is incredible.
Yeah, he is amazing.
Yeah. He's so good at like this type of prestige television. Like the way that everything looks and is presented is so perfect for what you want it to be. I mean, between The Last of Us and Chernobyl, I'm willing to watch whatever he puts out.
Agreed. I definitely would like. I think HBO and Sony are definitely got him for at least one more season, unless the ratings and viewership are just so bad for season 2. You know, and it's problematic in that way, and they don't do a season 3 because I'm gonna tell you right now. What's the guy's name? David Zaslav. He'll cancel this shit in a heartbeat.
Oh, for sure. He's like, coffee cups cost how much on that set?
That's right, yeah.
54 cents per cup is canceled. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Man, yeah, just again, going back and rewatching this show, I still really enjoy it. I still really have a blast with it. I'm thinking about, I haven't done this since the first time I played. I'm thinking about replaying the second game again.
Ugh.
I don't know if I want to put myself through that.
I have thought about picking up the PC versions of them and playing through.
Yeah.
But I know that they have some severe like optimization problems.
I was wondering about that. I wasn't sure if they were properly optimized for PC or not.
Yeah, I don't think they are. Unlike God of War, which we got 2 incredible ports of those games.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with that, but again, not to take us off course any right here at the end, but does the Nintendo Switch 2 have a proper release date yet with these tariffs?
The release date was not pushed back, but the pre-order date was pushed back, and they're not entirely certain. I mean, it's possible that the exemptions that just went in might apply to the Switch, but I'm not sure. I don't know, but the release date, to my knowledge, has not been pushed back, only the pre-order date. But the price in the U.S. could go up significantly.
Eesh.
And for a lot of people, the price is already the sticking point. For me, the lack of, like, the LCD screen, I'm going to need to hold one in person and see it.
Yeah.
And see how that screen looks and how it operates in different lighting levels and, like, what the brightness looks like in person before I would consider buying one. If the screen looks good, don't get me wrong, LCD technology is immensely better than it was in 2013. But for the most part, there's a reason things are going mostly OLED.
Yeah.
So, you know, you're not going to be able to get the like richer black that you can get in an OLED in an LCD screen. I don't care how sophisticated it is. It's just not possible. So I need to see it before I would consider buying one. But if the screen looks good, I would consider getting one at the original price point they announced.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of the game prices. That's what really had me in the chokehold.
Yeah, well, my thing is I would get the Mario Kart bundle, and then I'm not going to have that many games for the thing, you know?
Yeah, but even still, after tax, spending $100 on the game is just not my cup of tea.
Yeah, the rumor is that the new Mario Kart, it is the most expensive game that Nintendo has ever put out.
Really?
Like by like a considerable margin.
How much money can you spend on the Mario Kart game?
Apparently a lot, because Mario Kart 8, man, is one of the best selling video games. Like it did incredibly well, and I really do love it. But I mean, yeah, it's like when Smash Brothers comes out, that shit's gonna be $80.
Yep.
Or $90 or whatever.
Well, you know, there's been rumors that GTA 6 is gonna be $100. I don't know if Rockstar does that though.
I think what Rockstar is likely to do with GTA is they are probably going to sell the single player for $70, GTA Online will probably be $29.99. And then you can get $100 bundle or whatever that probably comes with a couple skins or some guns or a car or some shit. And then they're probably gonna have like a $200 deluxe edition,
and people will buy it.
They will.
GTA 6 also is currently the most expensive video game of all time.
Yeah, madness,
complete madness.
Especially considering like some of the video game budgets that have been out here that they spend all this money on. So,
well, with that being said, homies, now that we veered into video game land, well, The Last of Us is a
we started there.
Before we leave, guys, appreciate my Last of Us T-shirt. This is a rendition of Ellie's T-shirt. Except I got it in purple instead of red.
That's very interesting.
Thank you.
Did you do that on purpose?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's actually the same logo. It's the same shit. But yeah, so there you have it, guys. We will be back again very soon, again with Daredevil Born Again, the finale for this season.
So hyped!
Ooh boy! And then if that doesn't tickle our hype nipples enough, the very next day we will be watching and reviewing Ryan Coogler's Sinners.
Yeah, when we said we were going to really amp it up and do 2 episodes every week, sometimes that's just not enough for us.
That's right.
And sometimes we do 3, 4, and even one of these past couple of weeks, we put 5 episodes of content out.
Yeah, because we built like that.
Yeah.
I keep asking Junior, should we do more episodes? Just put your hands up, and his hands always go up.
And they stay there.
And they stay there. On that fucking note. Homies, thank you guys again for tuning into this episode. This has been a blast, and hopefully you guys have enjoyed this as well. We will see you guys again very soon, but until next time, my name is Superhero Homie Q.
And I'm Superhero Homie Caleb.